Imagine this. One day you wake up and realize you physically can't work the way you used to. Maybe it's health, maybe it's just age, but the bills don't stop, life doesn't stop. If you haven't been intentional about planning for retirement, that moment can be overwhelming. But the good news is it doesn't have to be that way. Whether you're 25, 45, or even 60, there's still time to take control. Retirement isn't a mystery, it's a math problem. And the earlier you run the numbers, the more time you have to make a winning plan. Today, we're going to walk through two different retirement calculators that will help you figure out where you stand and what you may need to adjust. So, if you're ready to stop guessing and start planning, let's dive in.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror. Where future success is reflected in our knowledge of fixing the one thing we can control, ourselves.
Welcome to the Financial Mirror, and thanks for joining me today as we continue to work to improve the one thing that we can control, ourselves. Here at the Financial Mirror, it is not about the numbers and spreadsheets alone, but about transforming and educating you on money so that you can make smart financial decisions. If this is the first time you're joining in, don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube to be notified of all the new episodes as they release. If you're listening to this on Rumble, don't forget to follow the channel and like the video, and on any podcast platform of your choice, don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. So the thing about retirement is everybody retires eventually. You know, this is either by choice or by force, and it's not about getting old. It's about reaching a point where you can't, or maybe you don't, want to work for income. During COVID, we saw people really retiring early, and maybe some have come out of retirement. I'm not sure. But the thing about retirement is that if you don't prepare, you're gambling your future. Because as we'll talk about, if you're relying on this, I'll figure it out later, this can lead to panic when it's actually time to retire. When it's time to retire, you should be enjoying life. You should be going out and doing the things that maybe you put off until you could get to the point where you could do them freely with no PTO, no life limits, nothing restricting you from doing the things you want to do. That is the time to do it. But if you haven't started planning for retirement, things can be challenging. If you start at 55, that's better than starting at 65, but starting at 25 can be even better. It's never too late to start planning. So if you're 65, it's better to start doing something than to do nothing. Progress is really what matters here. And confidence in retirement comes from clarity. So I'm hoping that today, as we go through this episode, that you will see how using two very simple retirement calculators can help you earn that clarity so you can see your future more clearly. Because the thing about retirement is that you can't predict when you're going to retire, or maybe you can. But the thing about it is that if you will prepare, you will be ready and able to do so comfortably. Because we cannot predict the future. We cannot tell you that everything that comes out of this calculator is going to be perfect and spot on, but it can at least show you if the direction that you're headed based on what you're doing today is solid. Okay. So one of the calculators I'm going to go over today is very much a very simple calculator. One's slightly more complex, but the thing about it is they each have their place depending on where you're at in retirement. So the key points here that I want you to take away is that 48% of Americans say they are not confident that they'll have enough to retirement. And even 27% say they have no retirement savings at all. Many people are consistently underestimating how much they will actually need to live comfortably before they are retiring. And sometimes they don't even know what it would take at the time of their retirement. It's bananas. So planning for retirement isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. And if we can build a plan that allows us to walk into retirement with confidence, not fear, then we are on the right track. So today I want to show you these two calculators to give you some direction, some guidance, some principles that you can apply so that you can retire comfortably. Like I said, if you're 65, 55, 45, or 25, this all is applicable to your life. So I hope that you take something away from this, because these retirement calculators are rough in terms of an estimate, right? They're just a rough estimate, but they're so valuable because they're going to estimate where you stand today and what you could potentially start to change so that you can reach your retirement goals. They're not perfect, but they are just the information that you get out of them is as good as the information that you put in. So what I want you to do is let this be more of a wake up to reality early enough so you can do something about it. Because even if you're 65 and you want to retire by 67, there's a lot you can do in 2 years. Okay. So let's walk through these. So the first one that I wanted to look at today is the Ramsey Solutions Retirement Calculator. So there's a link to all of these in the description of this episode. But this is a very, very simple retirement calculator. And it's really the reason that I wanted to start with it, because you really only need 5 data points, one of which is really easy to get because it's your current age. So I want you to keep that in mind as we're going through this. This one is, where this one applies in your life is that it's a great azimuth check. It's a great basic projection of how much money you could have going into retirement. Very, very basic. It's more of a projection calculator. Say, where am I at today? When do I want to retire? And what is that looking like? Okay. So super basic. All you need is current age you plan to retire, current dollar amount that you have invested today, how much you're contributing in a dollar amount monthly, and what is that annual return percentage that you are expecting. So just a quick silly example, right, that we can throw in here. Let's just say we have a 30-year-old. Oops, didn't mean to hit tab right there. We have a 30-year-old that's going to retire at 65, and they're currently, let's say they have $20,000 invested, and they are contributing $500 a month, and they're expecting, let's say, an 8% return. Down here, you can see this is the return your investment will generate over time. Historically, the 30-year return of the S&P 500 has been between 10 and 12. So 8% is slightly more conservative than that average rough return. But if you want to be more conservative, you could change that. You could make it 5%. You could make it whatever percent you want to meet your comfort zone. But the thing about it is, how much do you want to built into your calculation for your return? So with those 5 data points, we hit calculate, and we can see that this 30-year-old that we just ran numbers for is on track to have roughly $1.4 million by the time they're 65, right? By the time they're 65. This is phenomenal. This is phenomenal. This is a great spot for someone very quickly to look at how much do I have right now? How much am I going to have by 65? If I increase my contributions to this, what would that look like in terms of retirement? So if this person could say, you know what, 500, I could actually do 600. I think I could do 600. Now I'm at 1.7 million instead of the 1.4, right? So just basic calculator, super basic, right? Down here, they give you some little like what ifs. What if I saved an extra $100? There's that. What if I gave up daily coffee purchases? There's that. What if I gave up weekly restaurant visits? There's that. Just some little ideas, right? Just some little ideas that would show you where you're at. And then you have this little bar graph right here that just shows you when you're going to become a millionaire. So this individual would be hitting $1 million in 2054, because everyone wants to know when they're going to be a millionaire. I've done episodes in the past on how anyone can become a millionaire. I've even done episodes on how to make your kids millionaires before they're 21, right? They're not have $1 million at 21, but if you'll do these things by the time they're 21, they'll be a millionaire. All right. So I'll put a link to that episode as well, so that you can see that episode. It's very interesting, but it's just a few things you can do to make your kids a millionaire. So just added myself a note so I don't forget, right? So next up, so that's this calculator. Next up is the NerdWallet calculator. Okay, so this one is slightly more complex. It has a little bit more going on, but it provides a lot more data points. So it asks for current age, it asks for annual pre-tax income, current retirement savings, how much you're contributing monthly, what your monthly budget and retirement needs to look like, any other retirement income that you're going to get. You can hit the advanced details and say, when am I going to retire? When do I expect to pass away? Pre-tax retirement rate of return, post-retirement rate of return, inflation rate, annual income increase, all those things. This one gives you a little bit different scenario. So, I want to show you why this one matters, okay? Because the first one was very much a very simple azimuth check. Very simple azimuth check just to see where I'm at, where I'm going. This one is much more holistic. And if you want to look at life before, during, and after retirement, meaning like death, and I'll show you what I mean by that. I don't mean that in a very dark way or anything, but I'll show you what I mean. But if you want to look at kind of that whole picture of retirement, this calculator is much better in terms of doing that. What I love about the Ramsey calculator is the simple fact that you can just throw in a couple quick data points and say, yep, where am I at? Do I feel like I'm on track? All those type of things. This one really gets into some weeds of holistic view. So let me just kind of walk through this. So let's say our current age is going to be 30. Let's say our annual pre-tax income is 80,000. Current retirement savings will be 20,000. Monthly contributions, we're going to stick with the no, let's do current retirement savings, let's do 50,000. Monthly contributions, let's do 600. That's 9% of my monthly income. For a monthly budget in retirement, let's say let's just stick to 70%. Let's say we're going to retire at 67, and let's estimate that we're going to get Social Security, so about 2,000 in Social Security. Scrolling down, life expectancy. Let's say you're going to live to a good life to 85, though 95 is a little late in life, but pre-retirement, let's give ourselves that 8% return. Post-retirement, let's get a little bit more conservative, about 5%. Inflation 3, annual income increase, let's say is 2%. Okay, so here's what we got over here. Based off of this information, we only need about $686,000 in retirement. $686,000. What will we have? We will have 2.6 million, right? We're doing pretty good if this is you. If this is your scenario, we are doing pretty good. Now, what I talked about was before retirement, during retirement, and after retirement. This one is a little weird because you're not withdrawing as much as as you probably should. But you could definitely live on like an $80,000 income for sure. So this is probably a better example. Let's just move it up and say we're going to have 100% of our monthly budget in retirement, right? So this is what this means. So before retirement, you can see that you're going to have roughly 2.6 and you need about 1.45. So what you need is that number you want to look at before retirement. So you can say, this is what I need minimum, right? To have this $4,647 a month. Now, during retirement, so that's where this kind of peaks right here. This is age 67 when we said we're going to retire. And you can see this little blue line is the peak, because this is when you start drawing off of your retirement and living on it. So obviously your balance will start to slow down. It's still growing up here because you're not drawing out that much, but it's starting to decrease. And this blue line demonstrates that you are decreasing. Now, I also said something about after retirement, meaning after you're dead, right? I don't know how to say it in a nicer way. What this also shows you is that if you're projected to live to 85, which was what we put in our life expectancy, you're going to have roughly $2.9 million to hand down to your inheritors, right? Whoever those beneficiaries are, they're going to have a nice $2.9 million ish amount of money to be passed down. So that's why I said this calculator is very thorough. You can see what you need beforehand. You can see, do you have enough to survive? Meaning if this, let's delete this income, and let's say we live to 75. That should do it. Oh, no, sorry, 95. Should make us run out of money. Yep. So right here, you can see I need 3.5 million, which is this blue line, but I'm only going to have 2.68. You see now my blue line's above my green, meaning I don't have enough to live. So now I would need to start looking at my budget here and saying, well, I can't draw out that much. So looks like this person could probably live on about 75% of their income. And they'll kind of break even if they lived 85. So this just shows you if you have enough moving into retirement. So hopefully that gives you some really, really good thought-provoking examples of how you can utilize a retirement calculator to determine where you're at in retirement and what you can live on. Both of those, regardless of which one you're looking at, can be helpful. They just each have their own very niche thing that they provide. The Ramsey one is totally all about giving you a quick upfront snapshot, minimal data points, not telling a full story, just kind of saying, am I on track? Yep, I'm looking good. NerdWallet giving you that holistic view, kind of that before, during, and after retirement. How much am I going to have left over? How tight is my withdrawals going to be? Like if I have a couple bad years, is that going to set me back potentially? That's where that NerdWallet one really helps you out, because you can start to see if these lines are this close, there's, things are going to be tight. Like I would probably bump this down to 65%. I want to see some cushion on what I need versus what I have, right? I want to see some cushion. I don't want to be living on this like really tight setup where I'm barely making enough. Like if I live to 86 in this example, I'm messed up, right? If I live to to 96 in this example, I'm messed up, right? So I want some cushion in there. And if I only save, the 2.682, yeah, I may be taking a smaller withdrawal just so I can have enough cushion to live, right? Just so I have enough. But that's what you're looking at. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for that cushion so you're going to make it through retirement. Because whether you're early in your career, you're halfway to retirement, or you're almost ready to retire, checking your retirement status today matters. It's not too early. It's not too late. All of us can take control of our retirement. Start running these numbers. If they look good, stay the course. If not, you have time to correct. You have time to adjust, increase your contributions, or you can delay retirement. If you're still in good working shape, delay retirement till you're ready. Retirement's not about guessing. It's about planning, and the peace of mind that planning for retirement brings is worth it. Don't walk into it blind, okay? Don't walk into it blind. So now, I showed you those calculators. I showed you how to check if you're on track. What should you do next? Well, whether you look at this and you're starting to feel behind, or maybe you look at it and you're like, wow, I'm really killing it. Here's some steps you can take to help you move forward. First being, you need to set your retirement goal. Plug in your numbers. Figure out what is your monthly budget going to look like into retirement so you can plan for that. That's number one. Where do you want to live? What lifestyle do you want to maintain? Is there someone else that you need to support besides yourself, right? Are you going to have kids in the house till a certain age, or are you going to have an elderly family member that you're taking care of? Start asking, how much money do I need to retire the way I want to? You need to answer that question first. That's going to give you what your retirement goal is. Then I'm just going to pull this back up. When we're looking at this right here, that's what determines what this number is, right? If you know $3,020 is not enough, well, that means this has to go up to 75%. And then you look at it and you're like, well, that's not a good cushion. I've got to up these contributions. I need to be at 750 so I can have this nice little cushion right here, right? So that's step number one. Set that retirement goal, understand where you need to be. Step two is you need to estimate those retirement income needs. That monthly budget is where it's going to help. Kind of plays in with number one. If you need to figure out what the total is, but what drives that is kind of that income need. So figure out what that is. The next thing you can do is start to take action to boost those retirement savings. The number one thing I can tell you to do is pay yourself first. It's the number one thing I can tell you to do. Set up some type of automatic contribution that will increase over time. So even if it's like 1% more per year, that can have a major impact over time without you feeling like you're in a pinch, right? So set up your automatic contributions, whether it be to your 403b, 401k, IRA, whatever it is, set up those automatic contributions so that it's just that, automatic. If you get big windfalls, save them. Move them into a retirement account like an IRA. Put them into a brokerage or investment account. Those can help with as a bridge account for retirement. All those things are helpful. Another thing you can do is review your spending and debt. That helps with that monthly budget, so you can start to cut back on unnecessary expenses. I always tell people this: going into retirement debt-free is the number one thing you can do. You do not need a bunch of bills hanging over your head in retirement. You shouldn't be using retirement money to pay off debt. It's silly. It really is silly. Okay? So get rid of the debt and then retire. If you're getting close to retirement, get aggressive about paying off debt. Okay? Really aggressive. Prioritize those company matches and those 401ks if you can. It's always really good free money. But the big thing you can do is be intentional. Be intentional. No matter what your age is, no matter where you're at, how close you are to retirement, take a little time today, run these numbers, use these calculators, make a plan so you're ahead of the game. Most people walk into retirement blindly, but not you. You've watched this episode, you've listened to this episode. No matter your age or income, the best time to start is now. So succeeding is just about being intentional when it comes to retirement. Your future self will thank you, I promise. So hopefully you got something out of this episode. Hopefully you took something away. Please just take a moment. Like, we went through a few calculators very quickly. Maybe you have this data readily accessible. And if you don't, super easy to pull it up. Super easy to pull it up. Just go pull up how much you have contributed. What's your annual pre-tax income? That's how much are you contributing monthly? All those things, and you are good to go. So hopefully you got something out of this. If you did, share it with your friends, family, coworkers. It's all about building people to improve their personal finances so that we can all succeed together. So be intentional about retirement. Don't let it slip up on you. Until next week, continue improving the one thing you can control, yourself. Peace.
Well, that wraps up today's Financial Mirror. Join us next week as we continue to work on ourselves, change our mentality, and to commit to achieving the success we always envisioned. Regardless of your platform, help us grow as a community. Please like, subscribe, and share with the people in your lives.